This question says, how were holidays like birthdays and Christmas celebrated in your family? And did you have any special traditions?
Well, we've always gotten together with family.
Now, I'm talking about when you were a child. When you were young, how did you celebrate your birthday? Did your mom do anything special for you?
Oh, she'd make a cake for us. Outside of that,
Probably just your family get together.
That's what it was.
Kind of like how we did it. I
Yeah.
think. How about Christmas? When you were a child? Do you remember anything special about that?
Well, that was always kind of a family affair too.
Was it basically just you and Marvin and Grandma and Grandpa, or did you have any other relatives that celebrated it with you?
Well, mom's brother Lawrence, Larry, he used to come over with his wife.
Okay, when you were younger.
Yeah.
Is he the only one then that you remember probably?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah, because you had kind of a small family in that respect, I guess. Boy, this is a big question. How is the world today different from what it was like when you were a child? What do you think are the major differences?
Well, for one thing, back then, a lot of the youngsters they could always find a job.
Uh-huh.
There were lots of jobs to be had by youngsters if they wanted to work. Nowadays, the youngsters, a lot of them can't work in the berry fields.
That's right.
And pick peas and all this sort of thing.
That's true.
I think the world was a better place to live then.
I think so too.
And it is now.
Yeah. I think things moved at a slower pace too.
Yeah.
And I think kids back then too, they learned how to value work and they learned work ethics. They learned probably, I bet, better about, the value of money, saving money. They didn't have as much given to them, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think people are more affluent nowadays.
And as a youngster, very young, going back to when I was maybe 12, 13, I always had a job. Like selling ladies' home journal and selling newspapers. And then I worked for the merchants in Park Road. I used to go and tell them that I wanted to work. I wanted to do something. No job was too dirty.
Mhm.
I'd clean basements in the stores in Park Road. I did anything they wanted me to do. And I never asked them, how much are you going to pay me? I'll do it and you pay me for whatever you think I'm worth.
Smart, Dad.
That's the way I used to do.
And you probably got a reputation as a good worker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I did what they told me.
Right. I'm sure that served you really well. Can you think of any other differences that come to your mind?
As to how things were different then.
One thing that comes to my mind that I didn't live back when you did, but I have a feeling that children were more respectful. Were they more respectful of their parents and more respectful of the environment of the community?
I'm not sure that has changed.
Okay, I don't know about that.
That depends a lot on the parents. You kids were always respectful for me and Mom.
Yeah, I feel like we were, and I feel like we were taught that.
Yeah.
Who was the oldest relative you remember as a child when you were young? Who was the oldest relative?
The oldest relative? Well, I remember both of my grandparents. They didn't live here though. We had to go and visit them.
Now, is this grandfather and grandmother?
No, the grandmothers all died.
So you never knew your grandmothers?
One grandfather lived in Burlington, Colorado.
That was your dad's dad?
That was my dad's father. The other grandfather lived here in Portland for quite a while. And that was my mother's father. Yeah.
What was his name? I don't remember. I've heard it. Do you remember his name?
Only that it was Heim.
You don't remember his first name? I know I've heard it somewhere. What do you remember about them? Anything in particular? Personalities or?
Nothing outstanding.
What do you know about your family's surname? I don't know my surname. I think that means your last name. Anything about the history of the name of your family?
No, I can't say that I do.
It says, is there a naming tradition in your family such as always giving the firstborn son the name of his maternal grandfather?
Well, of course, I was named after my dad, because I'm a junior.
And he wasn't named after his father, was he?
I don't know who he was named after.
Do you remember what your grandfather's first name was? You know?
I know one of them.
Who was that?
My dad's, no. Yeah, my dad's grandfather's name was Neil.
His father or his grandfather? It was his father, wasn't it?
Yeah. Neil Smith.
What stories have come down to you about your parents or grandparents? Is there anything that's been handed down from them?
I don't know any story.
Here's one. I don't know. Are there any stories about famous or infamous relatives in your?
We didn't have any.
No excitement there, huh?
Nope.
Have any recipes been passed down to you from family members?
I would know that.
Okay. Any physical characteristics that run in your family? How about this?
The nose? Yeah, Dad and I had about the same kind of a nose.
That's the only one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Physical characteristics too. I would think, how about blue eyes? Of course, your mom had brown eyes.
Yeah.
Are there any special heirlooms, photos, Bibles, or other memorabilia that have been passed down in your family? Well, I know we have some photos, and I believe Ed has the Bibles.
I think we might have had a Bible that come from left.
Which was from his father, probably, right?
Probably from his father.
I know we had at one time 2 Bibles at home, and I don't know, I think they were both somehow from your side of the family. There was 2, and I'm wondering if Ed has them because we don't have them. I don't know where they're at. Do you know where they
If
are?
we've got them, I don't know where they're at either.
We have them here. I think they were given to somebody in the family. What was the full name of your spouse and her siblings and her parents? Do you remember any of that? The mom's name, full name.
Her spouse.
Your spouse, which would be mom. Her full name. Want me to help you? I know what it is.
Well, it was Margaret Catherine.
No, your spouse, my mother, Patricia.
Oh, Patricia.
Patricia for U.S. English, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you know the full names of her siblings, like Alice? Do you know what Alice's middle name was?
No.
I don't either. What about Jerry and Dennis?
I wouldn't know nothing about their middle names.
Remember their middle names? Okay.
I've probably heard it.
Right.
In years gone by, but I don't recall.
See, I don't remember either. I mean, I may have heard it, but I don't remember it either.
Yeah, how many people talk about their middle name?
Not many.
Not many.
That's probably why we don't know.
Who come up with those questions?
Some Dre got off the internet.
Oh.
Yeah. To give us an outline, so. When and how did you meet your spouse? Your wife?
Yeah. Through a friend of mine that I work with the telephone company. He introduced me to her.
Okay, now was that his girlfriend's friend?
Yes.
I'm thinking that's what it was. Okay. Okay, and then the other question is, what kind of things did you do on dates when you dated?
We went bowling.
Is that what you did most of the time?
Yep.
So you found out early on you both liked to bowl, or was that like new for mom?
Well, first of all, this woman that was introduced to Pat was a bowler. She bowled on the team for Martin Franks.
Oh, okay.
So this woman was already on the bowling team for Martin Frank.
I see.
And of course that's
And you grew up bowling too, I believe.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I remember you and mom going bowling when I was younger.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. What other kind of things did you do on dates? Did you ever go out to eat?
Yeah, a few times. Not regularly, but a few times we did.
Did you ever do anything like drive to the beach? Or longer dates like that? Or picnics? Did you do anything like that?
We had picnics.
I know that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
What was it like when you proposed? Where and when did it happen? Do you remember proposing to mom?
I don't even remember that part of it.
Well, what I'm curious about is if you actually specifically proposed to her or if you just kind of agreed that you were going to get married.
That's more, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
We just both agreed to get married.
So you didn't do anything.
I don't think I got down on my knees.
No, my husband didn't do that to me either.
No.
Where and when did it happen? So I don't know if it wasn't a specific time, then you could probably answer that. Where and when did you get married?
We got married here in Portland at the Centenary Wilbur Methodist Church.
Do you remember the date?
We were married?
Do you remember your anniversary date? I know when it was, but I'm going to make you think about it. It's in the winter, Dad. And you had a lot of snow, I remember that. January 15th.
Is that when it was?
I'm pretty sure that's when it was.
I'm glad you remember.
It's Rick's birthday. I think you and Rick, your anniversary date and Rick's birthday are on the same date.
And I didn't
Rick's
remember.
birthday is January 15th.
Honey, when you get as old as I am,
Yeah, I know.
a lot of these things begin to escape.
I know.
You can't remember.
Listen, Dad, I forget things all the time, and I'm
Yeah.
older than you, so I understand. What memory stands out the most from your wedding day?
It snowed.
Okay, that's what I
It
was
was
saying.
snowed and was cold. And a lot of the people that come to the wedding said, why did you darn kids have to get married in the wintertime? Because they were slipping and sliding.
Yeah.
Trying to get to the church.
I bet. Yeah, I bet. How would you describe your spouse? And what did you admire most about her?
She was very easy to get along with. She was a good cook. She was a good mother. Those are kind of the things that come to my mind.
That would come to my mind too. And I would say that whatever mom decided to do, she did it well.
She did.
Because I would describe you that way too, Dad.
Yeah. And she was thrifty.
Yes, she was.
She was a thrifty woman.
Which I'm very thankful she was because I learned about being thrifty from my mom.
You bet.
I learned a lot about that, which is coming very handy in my life because I've had to learn how to be thrifty. And in return, I have taught my children the same.
That's right.
What do you believe is the key to a successful marriage?
Well, one thing would be willing to forgive and forget.
That's a good one, Dad.
Yeah.
That's a real good one.
Forgiving is a big one.
Yeah, it is because there's going to be a lot of things that come up that you don't agree on.
Yeah. And Mom and I never argued. You know, if we had what should I say?
Disagreement?
A difference of opinion.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't get her to see it my way.
Uh-huh.
I'd just go out and shop or go down to the basement and
And so what usually happened? Who would win? It had to go one way or the other.
Well, we both would just kind of forgive.
You'd have to compromise on an answer, depending on what it was, I suppose.
Well,
and I have to say, I don't remember you and Mom ever arguing either.
No.
So if you did it behind closed doors.
We didn't come to blows.
Yeah. I never heard you being loud with each other. It's
No.
Arguing.
No. Because that is not good for the family.
No, it's not.
No.
You're right there, Dad. It makes children very insecure to hear their parents.
That's right. And
it's also teaching your children that that's how you resolve disagreements, and you really don't resolve them that way. And the louder you are, the louder the other person is, and then pretty soon you don't hear what each other is saying. And yeah. Okay. Why did you choose your children's names? Do you remember? Did you have trouble coming up with names that both of you liked? No, I don't believe so. But we didn't name them after any of the relatives. They were just, first of all, we didn't want to give you kids names that was going to be hard to spell. You know, we didn't want somebody asking you, well, how do you spell that? Or something like that, you know. We wanted, or how do you pronounce it? Right. You know, things like that. Right. Your names are all very common names. Well, my name's not real common. Well, not as common as some of them. Right. How did you find that you were going to be a parent for the first time? Do you remember how Mom? Probably Mom told me she was pregnant. No special anything, I guess. Yeah. She told you, and I'm sure you were happy. I mean, I hope you were happy. We were. You had 4 children, so I guess you didn't mind too much being a parent. That's right. No, we definitely wanted a family. It's not something that just come by accident. And you were lucky you could have children, because a lot of people can't. That's right. What was your proudest moment as a parent? Anything you can think of stands out in your mind? Oh, I don't know what that would be. I guess just due to the fact that you were healthy. You were healthy, that was the main thing. I would think too that you raised children that were good kids, that didn't get into a lot of trouble, and really nobody in our family really, I could say, went astray. We all pretty much stayed on the straight and narrow path. I would say so. What did your family enjoy doing together? Camping. Now, see, it says, what did your family enjoy doing together? And I don't know if they're talking about your family when you were a child or if they're talking about when you were an adult. What did you do as a family when you were a child? Did you go camping then as well? Mm-hmm. Or did you really do that much together as a family? Probably working too hard. No, we didn't do a lot of camping. Uh-huh. Did you go on picnics? We went on picnics. Uh-huh. Yeah. Probably the simple things. You enjoyed the very simple things that didn't cost money. Right. Which are sometimes the best things. That's right. That's what we've done too. What was your profession and how did you choose it? I chose it from the time I was a little boy. I got some batteries and light bulbs and found out how to hook them up and make light and ring a bell. On your own, or did you learn this from somebody else or anything? No, as far as I know, I did it on my own. That's pretty neat, yeah. And Marvin and I shared a bedroom, and I had lights all in my bedroom. And when you would come in my bedroom door, a bell would ring. That's cute, Dad. See, I had an interest when I was very young. How old would you say you were then? As young as 10 or 11? Oh, that young, yeah. Really? I enjoyed hooking that stuff up and making it work. See, Jacob's very much that way. Yeah. He loved that kind of stuff. You choose it. So you didn't really choose it. It kind of chose you. I mean, you just really always enjoyed it. I just kind of enjoyed it. Well, that's great that you always knew what you wanted to do. Yeah. A lot of people don't know. I've always known. If you could have had any other profession, what would it have been? And why wasn't it your first choice? Is there anything else you would have enjoyed doing if you couldn't have been an electrician?
Not that comes to my mind. It just seems like forever. That was what I enjoyed doing. Making lights and bells ring.
What other kind of things do you like to create? Like, were you interested in welding or building? Any of those kind of types of things that you might have?
Well, I always liked to build things.
Uh-huh. So I guess you don't know because you never tried. But you always could do a lot of things. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you learned how to do a lot of different things. Now, I don't know if you just taught yourself or did you learn from your father?
Probably if I wanted to do something and wasn't quite sure how to do it, I would ask my dad, because he was a jack of all trades too.
And I remember you being that way too, Dad.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful.
Like father, like son, you know?
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think your boys have been the same way.
They have.
And I'm kind of like Mom as far as a lot of the things that I do are the things that she was in.
Being a homemaker.
That's exactly, that's always been my desire.
And ever since I was a little boy, I've always had a little workbench where I could work at things to build it, you know. And if I ever had any problems, I would ask my dad, and he would always tell me.
And thank goodness you had a dad that you could ask.
That's right.
You know, a lot of little boys don't have fathers.
My dad was very well versed in everything. He was kind of like a jack of all trades.
And you know, he didn't grow up with a father, so he must have just learned from a lot of different people along the way. He must have just picked it up.
I think so.
That's neat. Of all the things you learned from your parents, what do you feel was the most valuable?
Probably how to raise a good family.
Oh, that's a good one, Dad. You had a good example.
Yeah, they set a good example for me.
That's good, Dad. What accomplishments were you most proud of in your own life, for yourself? You probably have many.
Many things, yeah. No one thing really comes to my mind.
I would, along this vein, I would think maybe one of the accomplishments you would be proud of yourself is that you raised a good family, that you were a good person.
That's probably the most important thing. Yeah. When I look around and see all these other families, how they're raised, how their children act, they get into trouble and everything. We've never had that problem in our family.
No.
So therefore, I'm really proud to have raised a good family.
And that's a good accomplishment. It's probably one of the best things a person can do in their life.
That's right.
And then the last question says, what is the one thing you most want people to remember about you?
That I want people to remember me for?
Yeah, what was the one thing you most want people to remember about you?
That I was a good family man. That would have to be it. Because that covers raising the children, being a good husband, you know, having a good wife. Those are all good things.
How would you describe yourself? What kind of a person are you?
Oh, I try to be fair. I try to be fair and treat everybody like I would like to be treated.
That's the golden rule.
Yeah, that's right.
Which if everybody lived by it would be a lot happier world.
Yeah, that's about it.
That is. Is your voice giving out?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it, Dad. Anything else you want to add?
Not that I can think of.
Not that you can think of. Okay.
No, I'm sure there's a lot of people would give anything to have a family.
That's right.
Like we have. That's great.
And I think that, generally speaking, you've had a very good life.
Very good.
I mean, that I can think of, I don't think, aside from losing your spouse, which was major, I don't think you had any real huge tragedies in your life or difficult, especially difficult times, did you?
That would be the worst, losing Mom.
Right. as far as growing up, I don't remember in our family going through any specifically difficult times, you know, that we couldn't deal with. I mean, you worked hard. I mean, I don't believe that when we were real young, we haven't had an overabundance of money, but we always had what we needed. No, we all had money. Not, but you said, you know, not an abundance of it. No, but we had everything we needed. Everything that we really needed. And I think the most important thing, honestly, is feeling loved and feeling secure. That's right. Because I really think that can help you get through a lot of difficulties in your life. Yeah. Of course, it does help to have money, because when you don't have money, it can cause a lot of difficulties too. But as I recall, I mean, both you and Mom were really hard workers. And we did. We worked. Trudy, I've worked since I was a little guy that high. Started out by selling a ladies' home journal. Right. That was probably one of the first jobs I had. Right. And then I worked in a restaurant. What'd you do in the restaurant? Make French fries. Oh, that's right. I think I or Matt's on 122nd and Sandy. I did that. From that, I went into delivering newspapers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you've always had a job. I did that for a long time. And I have a feeling that you didn't spend a lot of your money. I bet you were a saver. If I, you know, first of all, Tree, my folks did not have a lot of money. Right. We were not really poor. Right. But you know, we led a good life. Well, that's good. That's what I consider my family too. I wouldn't consider us to be the poorest of the poor. No. But we have money to live on and to get by. We don't have an abundance. We just have enough to get by. But growing up as I remember it, you know, like Mom was always canning. Yep. And putting stuff in the freezer. We always had a good garden. And she sewed our clothes. I mean, knitted. So she saved a lot of money just by her wonderful skills that she had. Mom was very frugal, you might say. Right. Right. She did not waste our money. She had hung clothes on the clothesline and walked practically everywhere. So, yeah. Of course, we lived close enough to the grocery store where you could do that. And I remember you changing the oil in the cars and doing the necessary repairs on the cars because you knew how to do them. I always did all that. Yeah. I remember you pretty much doing whatever needed to be done. You pretty much did it yourself. Well, I was kind of like a handyman. Yeah, you were. If anything needed to be repaired around the house, right, I could do it. Thankfully, because you saved a lot of money by not having to hire somebody. That's right. We never hired anybody. No, I don't remember you ever hiring anybody to do anything. The first thing I think I remember in my mind of you hiring somebody was Bill Creek to do your driveway. And that was I think that was probably when I was already an adult. I can't remember when you did that. But you know what that was, Trudy? That was not, no money exchanged. Oh, is that right? Yeah, we bartered. Oh, that was good. We bartered. See, Bill and I become very good friends. Uh-huh. I went up to his house and did a lot of wiring. Oh, good. Down in the basement, I put in a great big electric pan in the house that they're in now. Oh. And they own a lot of property. Oh, okay. And they had a lot of rental homes. Oh. And I used to, while working those rental homes, doing all the electrical work. Oh. And in exchange, when I wanted something done, Bill Creek would come and put it in that long walkway. Uh-huh. You'll see his name on it. Oh, I've never noticed that. Where is that written at? You come up the asphalt driveway, uh-huh, and just as you enter that walk, oh, it's just Creek construction. Oh, it's embedded right in that walk. Oh, okay. It's still there. Okay, so did he do the cement work too as well? Oh. Bill did the cement and the asphalt? Well, Bill, that was his profession. Okay, so he did cement work and asphalting both?
In exchange,
Okay, so he must have built the wall out front too. The tall wall? I don't know who did that. That's been there for a long time.
he might have.
That was a good idea to put that wall in so you could get extra parking out there.
That was why we did it. Because when we moved into that house, the front lawn sloped right up to the edge of the street.
Yeah, you didn't need all that extra work anyway, trying to
No.
keep up that. Yeah.
So, as I remember, I probably asked Bill, if we could put in a wall there. So we did.
Yeah.
But Bill and I always exchanged work.
Uh-huh.
I put in, like I say, I did a lot of work at their big house that they're in now.
Uh-huh.
Plus the garage. Plus out in the backyard, there's a pole with a big street light on it that I put in.
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
And in his lot, the lot where he keeps all his tools and everything,
Yeah.
over on Barber, I did a lot of work in there.
Oh, okay. Well, it's wonderful you had a profession that you could barter like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because you saved a lot of money. It helped both of you that way.
We did.
That's great.
And we never really figured who owed who for the work.
Yeah.
Just that if he wanted something done, I would do it, and vice versa.
That's nice, yeah.
He was always a real good friend, just like Barbara was to Mother. They got along really good together.
Yeah, I'm sure she misses Mom.
Yeah.
She was older than Mom, wasn't she, a little bit?
I think she is older.
I think so too. And they're still doing okay?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
We had lunch together here just a while back. By accident.
Really? How did that happen?
We walked into the restaurant.
Uh-huh.
One of the village restaurants. Over at Canyon Road. We walked in there, and by golly, there was Bill and Barbara.
Isn't that something?
So we had a nice chat.
Bill, did they have a big enough table where you could both sit down at?
Oh, yeah.
That's nice.
Well, the village restaurants have a big room. As a matter of fact, we've got together with our friends in that room.
Is that the one that's over by Bridgeport Mall? Is that the Village Inn?
That's a village. That's one of them.
Oh.
We go there too. We met Bill and Barbara at the one over on Canyon Road.
Oh, I haven't seen them for many years. I think I'm going to stop.